All right, we're up. And what's up, everybody? I'm Mason, and this is.
Anthony.
All right. And today we're going to be doing our creative critical reflection number one. He has a couple questions for me on the product that we made, the interrogation. I am the suspect of the film, and he is
The officer.
the officer. That's right. And yeah, so welcome everybody. We'll wait for the rest of everyone to tune in, and we'll get started right away. How have you been today?
I'm great, Mason. How are you?
Ah, man, I'm all right.
Great.
All right, looks like we have everybody. So, what's your question for me today?
So, how does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues?
All right, so our product, the interrogation. Since the interrogation falls into the psychological thriller genre, it follows and also takes over some key conventions. So one of which being the setting and the atmosphere. So the interrogation room, that is the main setting of the interrogation in the opening sequence, aligns with classic crime and thriller films, emphasizing control, confinement, and psychological intensity. However, the dim lighting and the suspect's obscured face through the black hat that I wore that casted a shadow around my eyes um, helped to add. How do I say this? I'd say that's what helped add the mystery to it and ambiguity, which is a common thriller technique seen throughout thrillers and horror films. And you wanted to know about the character presentation?
Yes, tell me about the character representation.
Alright, so the suspect, myself, we have him dressed in all black, and a little bit of that is playing into color theory and how black generally resembles despair and how there's absence of hope. And it's also commonly seen as a visual cue that is associated with villains or morally ambiguous characters. And the shadows that were casted over his eyes from the black hat, they could also suggest secrecy, danger, or possibly even him being an unreliable narrator, which we'll get more into later.
Yes,
And
thank you.
and for the detective, yourself, we have a Hispanic male in a leather jacket, and this presents like a tough, sort of streetwise persona. And this is because the leather jacket is often associated with rebels or anti-heroes, which might hint that the cop is not traditional and he's not like the good guy, like good guy, bad guy. He's kind of like in the middle, similar with anti-hero tropes. And this challenges the conventions of like cop representations of like law enforcement and media, where detectives generally appear in suits or uniforms, and instead we just have you dressed up as this big tough guy and intimidating and demeaning.
I understand, yes.
And you wanted to know about like how it plays into the genre.
Yes, how does it play into the genre?
So psychological tension and moral ambiguity. So the suspect's maniacal laughter and body language suggests mental instability, which also plays more into that unreliable narrator, which is a very common trope in thrillers. And so, like, even though rather than him being a straightforward villain, the fact that he appears mentally ill blurs the moral line. So it really creates a sense of moral ambiguity not only for the character, but for the audience. And the audience starts forming questions and opinions already. And the detective, if he, like later on in the film, appears to be aggressive or uses forceful methods, the film might explore whether his actions are justified or abusive. Because we have hints that the suspect did it, but because of his mental illness and how he's an unreliable narrator, we don't really know what's true and if he actually did the crime. And the power dynamic between the two, it creates tension because we don't know if the cop is truly in control or if the suspect is manipulating him by taking advantage of is mental illness. And so, what was the other thing in the question you wanted to know about? Representation, right, in social groups?
Yes, tell me about the representation in the social groups.
Alright, so the two biggest themes we're exploring here is criminality and mental illness. And so the suspect's apparent mental illness is shown through his speech, his body language, like the shaking hands and like trembling voice, stuttering, and then also, like I said, color theory, right? All the black and the lighting with the shadows, the dim lighting, creating setting ambiguity, and all these different things. And so, so the suspect's mental illness raises important ethical questions. Media often portrays mentally ill individuals as dangerous, but this creates basically two different pathways for the villain to go for the progression of the story. It could either show him as being, just someone who's actually mentally ill and needs help, and he's not the bad guy, or it can show the character developing into this major villain and bad guy character trope, and he did do it, but perhaps he even did more, right, and more heinous crimes.
I see. Yeah.
And it can also, to build on that with the two pathways, could the film be humanizing him later on, or is he actually just misunderstood? And it raises the ethical question of, okay, does the cop/detective have prejudice against the man, maybe because of his race, or is it because of the way he dresses, or is it just because he has a mental illness, so automatically you think that there's something wrong, that he's the main suspect. And so the character is designed this way, so that way the audience is asking themselves these questions to see, okay, they're engaged, right? They're trying to figure out, okay, is this man actually the one who did it, or is he being falsely accused? And so, that's about it. The film the film mostly explores moral ambiguity, as well as power struggles, but also the ethical issues of criminality and mental illness. And do you have anything else?
No more questions. Thank you for your time, Mr. Cowan.
Thank you, Sanchez.
All right, I'm gonna go get a burrito.
Alright guys, so that was my live stream with Mr. Sanchez. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it was a short one, but we'll have about 3 more on the way. Maybe not live streams, but just other ways, so that you can see the full thought process of this. Alright? Have a good one, you guys, and that'll be all for me. See ya.